all of you. Good evening to all of you. Am I audible now?
Yes. Audible.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening to all of you. I am going to tell you a secret for living well and living longer. This is more important at the time of this pandemic COVID-19. The secret to living well and longer is eat half, work double, love triple, and love without measure. This is the only secret. According to us, the affection and love shown by our leader, Dr. V.R.S. Sampath, is most important one. This program itself, I would call it as a love without measure towards the entire humanity. This is what I look at this program. It is rightly said, under adverse conditions, some people break down, but some break records. That is how our Sampath sir is breaking records even in adverse conditions. Law is an instrument of social change, and justice is the first promise of the Constitution. Justice is a very concept that is very near and dear to the heart of everyone in the humanity. With this very important topic, the program has commenced. And I would like to say how this law and justice is linked to the language, the economic empowerment, the climate change, and everything else in the world. How this topic is all comprehensive, all inclusive, and all important. The human being, we are very much proud about the creation of us as human being. The greatest gift that humans have is the ability to think. That is very unique and very special to human beings. Of all creatures in the world, humans are physically the most ill-equipped. A human cannot fly like a bird, outrun like a leopard, swim like a fish, nor climb trees like a monkey. A human does not have the eyes of an eagle, nor the claws and teeth of a wild cat. Physically, the human beings are most of the times helpless and defenseless. Even a tiny insect can frighten us, but nature is reasonable and kind. Nature's greatest gift to humanity is the ability to think. The humans can create their own environment, whereas animals have to adapt to the environment. That is the main distinction between human beings and animals. When we say that humans can create our own environment, leave alone that we are not creating the environment, but are we remaining without causing destruction of the environment that nature has given to us? This program is being conducted at a time when there is a conference at Glasgow. They are speaking about the global warming, which we will touch shortly. What I'm telling is the ability to think, how far we are using, to what extent you are using, for what purpose we are using. This is the conference in which we are made to think about that also. My first endeavor would be to show how language is very important for us. Padi, nulai padi, Sangat Tamil nulai padi, Murai padi, nulai padi, Kalayil padi, Kadumbagal padi, Mala Iravu Kurul padumbadi, Karpavai karkumbadi, Valluvan sonnapadi, Karkattan வேண்டும் அப்படி கல்லாதவன் வாழ்வதெப்படி இப்படி இரண்டே எழுத்துக்கள் படி இரண்டே எழுத்து ஒரே சொல் படி இந்த படியை வைத்து எத்தனை படிகளை பாரதிதாசன் அவர்கள் கட்டி வைத்துவிட்டு போயிருக்கிறார்கள். இப்படி தாய்மொழி, தமிழ்மொழி, தாய்மொழி வழி கல்வி, வாழ்க்கை என்றால் என்ன, வாழ்க்கை என்பது எப்படி, வாழ்க்கை என்பது எவ்வாறு என்பதையெல்லாம் சொல்ல முடியும் என்றால் அதை தமிழ் மொழியில் தான் சொல்ல முடியும், நம்முடைய தாய்மொழியில் தான் சொல்ல முடியும். தாய்மொழி அது தாயிடமிருந்து கற்கும் மொழி, நமக்கு தாயாய் அமைந்து உலகியலை கற்பிக்கும் மொழி. தமிழ் எழுத்துக்களோடு மட்டும் தொடர்புடையது அல்ல நம்முடைய மொழி, அது பண்பாட்டோடு தொடர்புடைய மொழி. உலகம் முழுவதும் உள்ள 8 கோடி தமிழர்களுக்கும் தாய்மொழியாய் உள்ளது. இப்பொழுதுதான் நமக்கு தேசிய கீதமான ஜனகணமன யுனெஸ்கோவால் உலகினுடைய மிகச்சிறந்த தேசிய கீதமாக அறிவிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. இது தாய்மொழியினுடைய முக்கியத்துவத்தை யுனெஸ்கோ பேசிக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. இப்படி உள்ள மொழியை நமக்கு இந்த அரசியலமைப்பு சட்டமும் இதர சட்டங்களும் எந்த அளவிற்கு தாய்மொழியை பயன்படுத்தும் உரிமையை தந்திருக்கின்றன என்பதை இந்த மேடையில் உள்ள பேச்சாளர்கள் அனைவரும் பேச இருக்கின்றார்கள். ஏற்கனவே வழக்கறிஞர் முத்துகிருஷ்ணன் போன்றோர் உயர்நீதிமன்றத்தில் கூட தமிழில் பேசும் உரிமையை ஆதாரபூர்வமாக எடுத்து சொல்லி தமிழிலும் பேசிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள் என்பது ஒரு மிக சிறந்த விஷயம். About this language rights, I have gone through several constitution of the world, of which I find the South African constitution is emphasizing the importance of using mother tongue as our language in the court is the most important one. I am reading some portions from the judgment. Language is so intimately related to the form and content of expression that there cannot be true freedom of expression by means of language if one is prohibited from using the language of one's choice. There is no true freedom of expression under Article 19 of the Constitution if there is no freedom to use our language. Language is not merely a means of medium of expression. It colors the content and meaning of expression, a means by which people may express its cultural identity. It is also the means by which individual expresses his or her own personal identity and a sense of individuality. This is the judgment of South African High Court. The right for everyone to use any official language in the court is more than a communication rights. It is not purely a communication rights. It is a fundamental human right. If I say that I am born in an independent country, I have my right to speak in a mother tongue. It is my natural right. It is my fundamental right. It is a human right. It is a right that is conferred upon me just because I am a human being. I should be able to express my view, my freedom, my expression in a language that I like most. This is what I have understood that. In the South African, there were 9 languages, out of which English and Afrikaans was the only language that are permitted inside the court, about which justice has to say this. To use only English and Afrikaans as official languages for all practical purposes in court, to the exclusion of all other official languages, according to the Judge President of the Cape High Court, unfortunate, unconstitutional, and untenable, and a painful reminder of our past, of which all right-thinking South Africans should be ashamed. If the right is not given, the judges have said South African people should be ashamed of if they are not given the right. This is how it is there. I would like to simply point out that even in the year 1956, the state of Tamil Nadu has passed Madras Official Language Act 1956, which received the assent of the governor on 1957 to provide for adoption of Tamil as a language to be used as official for all official purposes in the state of Madras. Then it was called the state of Madras. And then I do not want to encroach much upon the speaker's freedom, and I will leave it at that. What does our constitution says? How does the constitution protect the fundamental rights of our people? How the law and justice is promoted? Law is interconnected with justice. To that extent, the constitutional provisions are interpreted to ensure that the fundamental rights are never denied to people of our country. Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar invoked the phrase constitutional morality during the Constituent Assembly debates. Ambedkar was apprehensive about too much power being given with the legislature at that point of time, because he believed that immediately after independence, the masses were unaware of the principle of constitutional morality. He believed that unless people are saturated with the constitutional morality, then it will be very difficult to give that power to the legislature. Years after the invocation of this doctrine, the Supreme Court in 2014 once again mentioned the principle of constitutional morality. Starting from basic structure doctrine, there were several other doctrines that was invoked by the Hon'ble Supreme Court. Indian constitutional jurisprudence is the living proof of how the judiciary has shaped the constitution and its effectiveness by assigning newer doctrines and newer tests. By interpreting the meaning and power vested in the constitution, the judiciary has given doctrines such as basic structure, arbitrariness, manifest arbitrariness, etc., etc. But none of it is found in the text of the constitution, but the morality, the basic structure, it is spoken to by the constitution. That is how the constitution has protected. Constitution has established its supremacy in the administration of justice to the people, about which also our eminent speakers will speak. Then there is a challenge by COVID-19. That is a crisis that has devastating impact upon our past and present failure. COVID-19 has led a devastating impact upon the people, life and job. But at the same time, we are talking about the climate change. COVID-19 has challenged us, saying that it is our duty to improve the economy. It is an important to improve the economy on one part of it, and the other part is the climate change. If we use more of industrial product towards by which we want to improve the economy, carbon emission is going to be a challenge. Therefore, we are now facing the mutually contradictory phases now. The climate change is now considered as the greatest threat to economic stability, as well as its serious impact on the environment and people. Climate change is the biggest threat to economic stability. Economic growth depends on many factors. Key among them are adherence to the rule of law, protection of property rights, and the contractual rights by a country's government so that markets can work effectively and efficiently. That is how the topics are very carefully, very cleverly, very ingeniously taken, that how the corporate and the economic stability is there and how the contract management should be efficient and all. With the greatest thinking over those topics, these topics have been chosen today. Coming to the climate change conference that was in Scotland in Glasgow, that was held between October 31st and November 12th. In the Paris Agreement, signed by the 200 nations during 2015, there was an agreement that the climate temperature would be brought back to the level as was available before the Industrial Revolution. To that extent, there should be a change in the climate. But now there is a serious warning. I will request each and every one of you to please consider this serious warning very seriously. The warning is this: if there is an increase in the global temperature by 4.5 degrees before the end of this century, world will become unsuitable for human living. Unsuitable for human living. That means the world will extinct. Therefore, there is a promise that the global temperature must be contained between 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. To this extent, if climate change has to come, what is our role and responsibility? Our Prime Minister participating in this conference has assured net zero carbon emissions by 2070, and in the meantime, he has given lot of promises and lot of targets. All the newspapers have pointed out that even though China and USA are the countries which are greatest, they have the greatest responsibility for carbon emission, they have not come with any concrete steps, but India has through our Prime Minister. I will just hint the main lines, and there is also going to be speakers on these topics. New mantra for sustainable development is to ensure peaceful existence with nature. It is very simple. It is as simple as that. We have to ensure peaceful existence with nature. Carbon zero emission by 2070 means India's ambition is, when it comes to fighting climate change, despite being a developing country, we should ensure that the carbon emission is contained. There is a push for renewable energy, and contribution to climate change is going to be a very major factor. And these assurances, you can read it. And there is one more thing we have to take care of. There is conflict between this kind of economic development, climate change, etc., etc. I'll just tell you one example. Take the case of fisheries. It is a sector that is important to Asia, that is in respect of diet and livelihood. Small fishing fleets do not seem to be a climate issue till we understand that what is really going on. Fisheries are normally regulated through bilateral agreement between countries, that is where we fish. This is where we fish, etc. But fishing stocks are moving. Now, all of a sudden, as a result of cascade of effect arising from the changing climate, fish that used to be in our waters may found to be suddenly in your waters. So we are beginning to see the fishing war. On the surface, it is a fishery issue, but on a deeper analysis, it is a climate issue. In fact, it is both also. This is how the interest is going to be conflicting when we talk about climate and economic development. There is going to be interchange. That is why one of the poets has beautifully said, do not harm the environment, do not harm the water and flora. Earth is my mother, I am her son. May the waters remain fresh. Do not harm the waters. Tranquility be to the atmosphere, be to the earth, to the waters, to the crops, and to the vegetation. Whatever I dig from thee, O earth, may that have quick recovery again. O purifier, may we not injure thy vitals or thy heart. Doing harm to the environment, doing harm to the climate is equal to doing harm to the heart of the Mother Earth. That is what the poet says. It is time for us to think of these issues very seriously and very sincerely. And I thank the organizer for having given me this opportunity. Thank you very much.